Ready Player One, the resurrection of the Spielbergian blockbuster. Steven Spielberg's early blockbusters of the 1980s and 1990s left a mark on a whole generation of kids growing up during this period. E.T., Indiana Jones, and Jurassic Park were their childhood movies, and their characters were child heroes and sources of inspiration. One of those children was Ernest Cline, who grew up to be a famous science fiction writer. His most successful book, Ready Player One, was published in 2011. The book doesn't have a page without referencing a movie, TV show, or video game from this era. Klein couldn't believe that his childhood hero Steven Spielberg acquired the film rights to his book and wanted to make the movie himself. Spielberg adapted the book using many of the tropes that defined his earlier blockbusters, which evolved into a recognizable element of his movies, something that defines his cinematic identity. There's the inherent innocence in Spielberg's main characters, for instance in E.T. and Empire of the Sun. The effects of losing a parent or having an uncaring father figure, which is based on autobiographical reasons and can be seen among other movies in E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the fight of children against the world or the government, also can be seen in E.T. and, for instance, in Empire of the Sun. These tropes and other resemblances to his earlier blockbusters are immanent in Ready Player One and make it to a continuation of Spielberg's earlier blockbusters and explain its mass audience appeal. Spielberg's early blockbusters used the rather new movie genre of a melodrama, making the audience so emotionally involved with their main characters that they feel for them all the way through and experience emotional reactions to their wins and losses. Especially E.T. is known to be a tearjerker in the audience, which shows the involvement the cinema audience had with Elliot. This was achieved with various story elements and representations. Characters in those blockbusters are mostly innocent and in great jeopardy. Like Lex and Tim Murphy in Jurassic Park, they are previously uninvolved bystanders now caught in extraordinary danger. They are just kids previously living their lives and now trying to survive a human catastrophe, as typical for Spielberg's movies often caused by parents and their actions or inaction. The absence or uncaring father figure is another Spielberg trope, which is the reason for many of the hardship experienced by children in these movies. This character trait is present in so many different Spielberg movies that Legal and Taliaferro, in their abstract titled The Recovery of Childhood and the Search for the Absent Father, even come up with different variations of it in his movies. The absent but not dead father, the deceased father, the father who must regain the ability to understand his children, and so far and so on. In Empire of the Sun, for instance, Jim's complete storyline and growing up in a war camp is due to his father not caring enough and putting his child before anything else in a time of crisis. As the Fableman, Spielberg's autobiographical movie shows, this is an issue Steven Spielberg experienced often in his upbringing, which is especially represented in his earlier movies. The third important trope of Spielberg's heroes is the ambivalence. Even though there is a clear distinction in between good and evil, with our hero being the good one, he isn't inherently good and has his human flaws, making him seem more natural. This trope can be seen in Spielberg's male adult action heroes like Indiana Jones and Captain Miller in Saving Private Ryan. Indiana Jones is essentially also robbing ancient tombs, while Captain Miller makes mistakes losing his men which haunt him. Those characters are well written and ensure the audience involvement because of their ambivalence, which make their stories seem more natural and human. Some researchers, like Frederick Wasser, even interpret the inherent critique of the American governmental system in E.T., which the audience is made aware of. The government agents are portrayed as the bad guys, interfering in children's freedom and friendship, which isn't discussed in detail because Spielberg's obligation to attract blockbusters. It will attract everyone by making a blockbuster. but it also shows an ambivalence inside the movie in other parts. This trope isn't used in Ready Player One, but is replaced in Ready Player One by the Children Against the World trope. Tropes in Ready Player One. Ready Player One is the story of Wade Watts in 2045, who must master 3 different quests in the virtual reality program Oasis, a program that is used by almost everyone in this dystopia, to ensure its free future for everyone and stop it from getting in the hands of innovative online industries, IOI, who plan to financially exploit it. Wade Watts has the classical family structure of a Spielberg blockbuster kid. His parents have already died and he lives under his violent, uncaring and aggressive uncle and his aunt in a modern version of a trailer park. For him, Oasis is a way to escape his actual reality and be free, just like being raised by his only mother allows Elliot in E.T. to have a freedom to explore and explain the world to the extraterrestrial. Generally, the similarities between E.T. and Ready Player One are outstanding. In both movies, higher authority, the government or one of the biggest tech firms, represents the evil in the world, which must be stopped by our protagonist. The movie even has the American critique that Morris identifies in E.T. in his final, indicating that the people must raise up against the rise of companies and regain control over the environment. But just like E.T., this is only a very small aspect of the movie, regarding which the film doesn't go into further detail. Elliot and Wade also have the inherent Spielbergian innocence. Both are not in fault for their bad situation and represent everyday growing up kids, adolescents, um, giving the respective films a realistic and human touch. But Ready Player One wasn't a tearjerker like A.T. was, which is a major aspect of the melodrama blockbuster. Exploring the reason for this distinction comes to the core difference between Spielberg's early blockbusters and Ready Player One. Whereas every generation did go to the cinemas in the 1980s and 90s and understood the movies, the parents, the children, and even the grandparents could follow the simple American neighborhood story. Ready Player One is made for a specific audience, nerds and gamers. If you are not one of these groups which seek out 80s and 90s pop culture and nostalgia as a way to escape their own reality, just like people escape the reality through the races, this movie isn't made for you and you won't understand most of it. Ready Player One, conclusion. Ready Player One had the same prerequisites as many of its early blockbusters, a huge budget, enormous sets, and it's in the summer blockbuster story. Its success at the box office, gaining nearly 4 times the production cost despite its more individualistic target audience, shows that Spielberg's formula of blockbusters still work today, particularly the tropes of an innocent kid fighting against injustice injustice on a large scale seems to attract people in the same way as it used to in the 1980s. This success includes the reusing of his classical tropes in Ready Player One, which show their ongoing effectiveness in modern-day media environment. Especially the imminent and prominent resemblances from Ready Player One and E.T. show how his tropes and the way of filmmaking persist and function in today's blockbuster cinema.